A group of people entered a room to conduct some business, and Yuri was observing their every move. Because of the way they avoid staying close to doors and windows, Yuri could tell that they were professionals. And right after they closed their deal, he informed his superiors so they could finally make their move. The first lieutenant introduced themselves as part of the state security service before telling the spies that they were under arrest. One of the spies refused to surrender and escaped through the window. However, Yuri was already waiting outside to subdue him, not giving him any chance to fire his gun. And Yuri had a creepy smile while arresting the spy. Yuri received some praise for his work, and he was given his next mission right away. He had to follow Franklin Perkin and get some evidence that he was responsible for selling various books and conspiracy articles in the West that mocked and slandered Ostania. Yuri was also tasked with tracking down his buyers so they could stop the spread of these conspiracies before they influenced public opinion. The first lieutenant thought that they were giving Yuri too much work. However, Yuri couldn't stand that a filth like Franklin was breathing the same air as his sister, so he wanted to finish this job. Yuri started observing Franklin the next morning. He recorded the time he woke up, how he cursed at the newscaster, the time he left for the office, and even his attire. Yuri recorded all of Franklin's activities for the day while outside. And when he was back home, all the shows he watched were also listed. The first lieutenant thought that Yuri didn't hold back on the details, but he suggested that he go get some rest first as he had been working for 2 days without sleep. Yuri refused, and he even handed over the report for the next day. However, the first lieutenant noticed that Yuri was already getting Yuri's name mixed up in his report, so he told Yuri to get some rest. However, they noticed that someone was looking for Franklin. It was the landlady, who was asking him to pay the rent that he was late on. Franklin promised to pay the next day after the following day, but the landlady warned him that she would throw them out if he was lying again. Franklin immediately retrieved his coat and informed his father that he was going out, while Yuri and the first lieutenant prepared to tail him. Franklin kept looking around while walking through the streets. Yuri wondered if he was cautious of anyone following, but the first lieutenant was certain that he's looking for something to write in his article. Franklin took a picture of a protest and people drinking in the streets. However, he thought none of it was decent, and when he saw kids playing happily as spies, he threw the kids' toy gun in the trash, and when they tried to retrieve it, he made it look like they were kids living in poverty and looking for scraps in the trash. The kids were upset, and they warned him that they would call the police on him. However, he threatened them that they were the ones who would be arrested and killed for not sharing their wealth. Yuri was enraged, and he wanted to kill Franklin, but the first lieutenant stopped and reminded him that they had to let him go until they found out who was buying his underground publications. Franklin immediately wrote an article after returning home, and he was certain that it would be entertaining for some people. However, Yuri noticed that someone was coming. It was Franklin's father, and he warned him against his dangerous work. He also thought that Franklin would have kept his job at the paper if not for his strong sense of justice. Franklin refuted that he just tried to improve the country where his family was living. He was upset that they barely had money for their poor living situation, and he thought he wouldn't have lost his mother if they had money. Yuri wrote in his report that Franklin might be motivated by his concern for his family, but he immediately scrapped it. Yuri continued to follow Franklin. He concluded that Franklin was using the post office where he was working to sell the articles, and it was confirmed when Franklin boldly included his article in the letters that had already passed inspection to mail it to his buyers. It was the evidence Yuri needed to finally arrest him and track the article buyers. After a few days, Franklin informed his father before heading out for work. However, he saw state security service officers waiting outside his apartment, and Yuri was leading them. Franklin's face was filled with disbelief, but he accepted his fate and apologized to his father, saying that he wouldn't be back for a while. Yuri took out the article that Franklin had mailed, saying that they'd already captured the buyers as well. Franklin mocked Yuri for waiting outside instead of forcing their way into the apartment to capture him. Yuri refuted that he just didn't want Franklin's family to witness how pathetic he was. Franklin argued that what's pathetic is to become the government's dog. But Yuri declared that he would never make his family sad, and Franklin could only remain silent after hearing this. However, Yuri informed Franklin that he would request that his father receive some financial help to get by, and Franklin was grateful for it. The chief praised Yuri for his excellent work again, but he showed his concern for him, knowing how difficult and stressful his work was. However, Yuri thought that he was well suited for the job, and he even declared that he would capture Twilight to protect the peace of their nation. The chief was glad after hearing it. He hopes it happens, and he also promised to treat Yuri to a good meal sometime. After his duty, Yuri decided to visit Yor. She was surprised that he visited so late, but Yuri just happily greeted her. However, he was pissed when Lloyd showed up to greet him as well. At the same time, Yor asked if something had happened. Yuri told her that he just felt like seeing her, but Anya read his mind, so she gave him a pat to console him, although he didn't understand what she was trying to do. However, he was overjoyed when Yor patted his head while praising him for working hard. But Anya felt like vomiting while reading his mind. While on a mission, Bondman wanted to sacrifice himself to let his partner escape. However, she refused to leave, so Bondman had to force their way out using a car, and she fell in love with him after escaping safely. A spy from the opposing country wanted to kill Bondman, but she also fell in love with him after he managed to get their countries to sign a peace treaty with each other. Another lady asked for Bondman's help because her father was making a bomb to destroy the world, but she also fell in love with him after he stopped her father. Afterwards, he seduced a female terrorist who was trying to kill him. Then he asked the leader of an evil organization on a date, and even his pretty landlady didn't escape his grasp. However, the ladies finally started to ask him to pick one among them, and when he wanted to choose all of them, they tried killing him in all kinds of ways. Anya seriously watched this episode of Bondman. She thought this was what a flirting story was like, and she wanted to discuss it with Becky and become an adult, although Lloyd tried to stop her. While in the department store, Anya asked to ride on a toy polar bear. Lloyd couldn't understand what was fun about it. He thought it just looked like a corrective device made by an authoritarian regime to steal the emotions of its passengers. But Anya started crying, still asking to ride it, so Yor convinced him to let Anya ride it. After watching Anya go back and forth while riding it, Lloyd asked if she had fun, and he thought he couldn't understand children at all when she happily said that she had to ride it again. After seeing other people enjoying the beach on television, Anya told Lloyd that he wanted to go to the ocean. Lloyd told her that they couldn't go to the ocean, so he's bringing her to the pool instead. Anya excitedly entered the pool, so Yor was glad that she was having fun. However, because she could read everyone's mind, she found out that the other kids were peeing at the pool. After returning home, Anya sulked in the corner while saying that she'd never return to the pool again, so Lloyd thought that he really couldn't understand children. The next morning, inside the school dorm, Emil and Ewan immediately tried to wake Damian up after they got up. However, they were surprised when he came back after reviewing, saying that his oversleeping the previous week was just by chance. Meanwhile, Anya was still sleeping soundly even when Lloyd was holding the alarm close to her while shaking her bed. Lloyd panicked as the bus would arrive in 10 minutes to pick her up, but Anya was still dreaming, saying that she still had 10 minutes to stop the explosion. Anya was late for school, and Lloyd was worried that she would get a tonitrous bolt. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy this video, and please subscribe so you won't miss the next part. And just comment down any anime you want to see in this channel.